Hello, my name is Mike Jensen, and 1 month ago I started an extraordinary journey. And what's happened since then has completely changed how I see and how I experience reality. In this video, I'll take you from a late night thought experiment about photons in water through to an acoustics experiment from the 1700s, all the way to my discovery that has the potential to change the course of our civilization. Today, you will see something extraordinary, and I will give you the tools to audit and to replicate this discovery for yourself. It was a Sunday night in August 2025. I think it was about 11:30 at night, and I was half asleep in bed, picturing the double slit experiment flipped upside down, kind of hanging from my ceiling, and I imagine photons dripping like water through the slits. And I asked myself, where does water flow? Simple question. It usually flows along the path of least resistance, kind of like a circuit board. And that was it. In that instant, I came to a realization that maybe photons and all particles might not be following probabilities. They could be following paths of least computational cost, kind of like how a video game gets rendered. But if that was true, then space isn't a passive backdrop. Space would be actively computing reality. But the lattice structure is so unimaginably small that the atoms in our bodies pass through it like wind. I was baffled. Zooming into the smallest scale. To make sense of this, I imagined a universe built from tiny little pieces of space, or voxels, at the Planck scale, the smallest unit of space, too small for us to even imagine, because millions of voxels could fit inside of a single atom. The voxel structure. I imagine that each voxel is a geometric cube with inward-pointing pyramids. And at the center is a register that can, quote, vote, unquote, on its state based on its 12 nearest neighbors. And the rules of interactions of these voxels are simple. They can listen through a mediator kernel, or what I call the universal consensus mechanism, and they can speak through a hysteresis rule, like magnetic fields locking into place. And so the takeaway is that all of our reality must be the consensus of these microscopic votes. Every particle, every field, every force is built from this voxel substrate reaching agreement at unimaginable speed and at unfathomably small pieces of space. The substrate saturation protocol. The problem is that these small, tiny little voxels have a limited capacity. They can only handle so much information. They have to be able to reset. And so when overloaded, they reset to clear their memory or ledger, as it were. And each reset emits waste energy in the form of heat or light. And so the bridge is that at the quantum scale, this explains the wave function collapse, aka the double slit experiment, or thermodynamic irreversibility, or the arrow of time. And at the cosmological scale, I imagine that this same saturation protocol results in black holes. And I was able to show mathematically that this microscopic rule becomes identical to the effects that we see in general relativity. And so the big idea is this is how quantum and cosmic are unified, through the resets of a microscopic computational substrate. But I'm not done. Something really big is missing from the puzzle. And that leads us to now, which is, how does just a grid or a lattice structure of unfathomably small geometric structures, and a communications protocol, like the UCME, the Universal Consensus Mechanism, result in all known matter in the universe. How do I make all those little particles? So I was stumped. I hit a roadblock. So I had to sleep on it, as I always do. And as I was falling asleep, I imagined something audacious. The missing piece. Enter Ernst Chladni. He was a German physicist and musician, and in the late 1700s, he found a way to visualize sound waves, and these are known as Chladni figures. He took the bow of a violin and he rubbed it against the side of a metal plate, and that metal plate had fine sand on it. And what he found was that vibration revealed the hidden standing waves, or the stable resonances of the plate. And so I had a realization that, what if I took that two-dimensional resonance plate and I built a cube out of it? What would happen in 3 dimensions? Because if metal plates can resonate, then theoretically, a universe full of tiny geometric structures should also resonate. And what would the universe play if I took a computational bow and strummed it against the substrate? What self-resonant frequencies or eigenmodes would be played? And the answer is unbelievable. Without inputting any quantum mechanics, any Schrödinger equations, any predefined orbitals or quantum numbers, without inputting anything except for a lattice structure and the rules, the universal consensus mechanism rules for communication between the cells, the universe started to sing matter. One by one, all 118 elements emerged naturally. There was no way that this was real. I had done something wrong. I messed up somewhere. But after checking the code, it was still the same. This was unbelievable. And when 2 atoms are brought together in the program, a bond forms as the system optimizes their positions to achieve the maximum constructive interference between their resonant wave patterns. As multiple atoms interacted, they spontaneously arranged themselves into specific 3D geometries, like the bent shape of water, or the chiral backbones of amino acids like glycine and alanine, because those precise configurations maximize the stabilizing overlap between their patterns. Therefore, the intricate and recognizable shapes of chemistry and biology seem to be an emergent consequence of the system settling into its most geometrically and resonantly stable state, without any hard-coded rules for bond lengths, angles, or chirility. These are early days, but the homochirality was also demonstrated when the LL-alanine interaction settled into a significantly lower and more stable energy state than the geometrically disfavored LD pairing. What that means is that the geometric structure of our universe seems to heavily favor harmony, order, and life itself.